The alien slave market was loud, full of noise and shouting. Creatures from many worlds came to buy slaves, workers, fighters, pets, and servants one by one. The cages became empty. Some slaves cried as they were taken, some were silent, and some were already broken inside. In the last row, at the dark end of the market, one cage remained. It was old, rusted, and almost hidden behind crates. Inside it, a strange alien girl sat alone. Her skin was pale gray with soft blue patterns that glowed faintly. Her hair was long and silver like moonlight, dirty and tangled. Her wrists and ankles were locked in heavy chains. Her eyes, bright and glowing, watched everything but showed no fear. No one came near her cage, traders whispered. That one's not safe. She's broken. She bit a buyer last week. She doesn't speak, doesn't eat, doesn't move. She's cursed, worthless. Even when buyers were offered her for free, they laughed and walked away. One alien buyer said, "I don't need trash," and spit at her cage. The girl didn't blink, didn't flinch. She just kept staring like a statue. Then footsteps echoed in the dust. A human man walked through the market, his long brown coat brushing against metal floor plates. He was tall with sharp eyes and a scar across his cheek. People called him Captain Roan. He wasn't like the others. He didn't talk much and he didn't smile. Roan had no interest in buying a slave. He only came to check parts for his ship. But something, he didn't know what, pulled him toward that last cage. He stopped in front of her. The traders looked confused. "You don't want that one, human," one said. "She's not worth a credit. She doesn't talk, doesn't move. She's just there." Roan said nothing. He looked at the girl closely. She looked back, her eyes glowing slightly, like stars trapped in a storm for a moment. Everything around them went quiet. No more shouting, no more footsteps. Just the soft breathing of the alien girl and the steady eyes of the human captain. Then Roan did something no one expected. He pulled out a credit chip and tossed it to the trader. "Unlock her," he said. The trader laughed. "Are you serious? You want her?" Roan didn't repeat himself. His voice was calm but cold, grumbling. The trader pressed the button. The cage opened with a rusty creak. The chains fell from the ceiling, but her hands were still locked. Roan stepped inside slowly. The girl didn't move. Didn't blink, didn't speak. Then Roan knelt beside her. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. "I don't care what they say. You're coming with me." She stared at him, eyes locked, unblinking. Then, in a voice so quiet it was almost like wind, she whispered something. The words didn't make sense, an old alien language long forgotten. But as soon as she spoke, the air around them felt heavier, like something ancient had awakened. Roan looked at her with curiosity, but no fear. He gently reached for the chain lock. As his fingers touched the metal, a faint shock passed between them. The girl gasped, her body shivering. And then, for the first time, she moved. Not fast, not wild, just a little. She leaned forward just a few inches and looked at Roan again. Her lips trembled, and she whispered another word, softer this time. It sounded like home. Rowan's eyes narrowed. He didn't know who this girl was. He didn't know why she had been left behind. But he knew one thing: he couldn't leave her there. He lifted her gently into his arms. She was light, too light, like someone who had not eaten in days or weeks. The market stared in silence. No one said a word. Not even the cruel traders. Roan walked out of the market with her in his arms. The lights behind him flickered as they passed. The ground trembled slightly, but only for a second. The girl's eyes closed slowly, but her lips still moved, repeating that strange word, home, home. Cliffhanger. Back on his ship, as Roan laid her on a bed, the lights dimmed again. His AI warned him, "Captain, this life form is not a common species. Energy signature. Unknown. Danger level. Unmeasured." And in the dark, the girl's glowing eyes opened again. Captain Roan sat in the pilot's chair of his small starship. The engine hummed quietly. Lights blinked on the dashboard. But his eyes weren't on the controls. They were on the girl resting in the medical bay behind him. She still hadn't spoken again. Still hadn't eaten. Just stared at the ceiling with glowing eyes. Roan had seen many strange things in his life. Monsters, pirates, starstorms, and black holes. But this girl, she was different. Not just because of how she looked, but because of what he felt near her, like space itself was watching. The ship's AI spoke in a low voice. "Captain, this subject shows unstable energy patterns. She may be dangerous, Roan didn't flinch. I've seen dangerous, he replied. She's not it. The girl sat up slowly. Her chains still locked around her wrists. She looked around the room, confused, weak, lost. Roan walked over and placed a small metal cup near her. Water, he said. She stared at it, then looked at him. Then back at the water. Finally, with trembling hands, she lifted the cup and drank. Roan smiled a little. That's better. For a moment, her lips curved, just slightly. Then she looked at her own hands and whispered something again. The language was strange. Soft like music, but sad like a funeral song. Roan sat across from her. I don't understand your words, he said. But I think you were important once. You don't belong in a cage, she looked surprised. Her hands tightened around the chains. No cage? She said in broken English. Roan nodded. No cage. Suddenly she moved fast. Too fast. She reached out and grabbed his wrist. The ship's lights flickered, the engines hiccuped, and the AI screamed, Warning! Energy spike! Unknown contact! Roan didn't pull back. He didn't even blink. He just looked into her glowing eyes and said calmly, It's okay. Her grip loosened. Her hand shook. She pulled back and whispered, Sorry. Roan leaned forward. What's your name? The girl paused, then slowly said, Syra. Her voice was soft but clear. That name carried weight, like it belonged to someone powerful or feared. Roan typed her name into the ship's database. The screen blinked for a long time. Then a warning flashed in red. Syra. No record found. Name linked to ancient ruins, classified, danger level unknown. He leaned back. So she wasn't just a slave, she was something old, maybe something lost. Later that night, while she slept, Roan scanned the alien markings on her back. They were not tattoos. They glowed softly, alive, like they were growing with her skin. The AI translated one word from the symbols. Key. Key to what? And Roan didn't know. But deep inside, he felt that he was now part of something much bigger than himself. The next morning, Syra stood at the window of the ship. She watched the stars in silence. Her hands were still in chains, but not locked to anything. Roan came beside her and said, You can take them off. She looked at him, afraid. No. Danger. You're not dangerous, he said, just hurt. Syra turned away. No, trust me, she said. I break things, Roan nodded slowly. Then I'll stay close and fix what breaks. Suddenly, an alert sounded. A message blinked on the screen. Unidentified ship approaching. Roan checked the radar. It wasn't a trade ship, it was black, sharp, and fast, like a knife flying through space. Sarah's eyes widened. She whispered, They come. Who? Roan asked. She didn't answer. She only said, Run. Roan turned to the controls. No, he said. We fight. Syra looked at him. Really looked. No one had ever stayed to fight for her before. She had always been the cursed one, the leftover. But this human, he didn't flinch. The dark ship drew closer, red lights glowing like angry eyes. The AI said, Enemy ship identified. Collectors. Slaver class. Warning, high threat. Syra trembled. They want me, she said. If they take me, the stars will burn. Roan stood tall. Then we don't let them take you. He placed his hand on her shoulder and said, You're not a weapon. You're not worthless. You're Syra. Her lips trembled. No one had ever said her name like that, like it mattered. Cliffhanger. As the enemy ship locked onto them, Syra's chains suddenly melted off, glowing with light. And from deep within her chest, a soft pulse of energy shook the entire ship. Roan turned, shocked. Syra, what was that? She looked up, her eyes glowing again, and said one word. Awakening. The ship floated in silent space. After the fight, the engines were damaged. The walls burned and smoke filled the air. Captain Roan's hands were covered in oil, his heart beating fast. He had seen many battles, but never like this one. The enemy ship had exploded without firing a single shot. 1 second it was chasing them, and the next it was gone. Only light remained, white. Blinding light that came from Syra. Now she sat quietly in the corner of the ship's medical room. Her eyes dim, her hands trembling. Roan watched her from across the room, unsure if she was a threat or a miracle. The AI's voice echoed softly. Captain, the readings from her body are impossible. Her cells contain energy signatures older than any known civilization. Roan frowned. What does that mean? It means, Captain, the AI said. She might not just remember ancient times. She might be from them. Rowan looked at Syra again. She was staring at her reflection in a small piece of metal. Her fingers traced the scars on her face. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she didn't seem to notice. He walked closer. Syra, are you hurt? She shook her head slowly, then whispered, No hurt. Just memory. What memory? He asked. She looked up, her eyes unfocused. Not mine, she said, her voice shaking. Too many voices inside. Screaming. Burning. Rowan felt a chill run through him. He sat beside her carefully. What voices? She turned to him, and for a moment her eyes changed. No longer glowing blue, but golden. Her tone became deeper, colder. The voices of those who built me, she said. Those who used me. Rowan's heartbeat quickened. Used you? For what? Syra looked down at her hands. Small flashes of light danced across her skin, showing strange images, cities floating in the sky, towers made of crystal, giant ships burning in the dark. I was made, she said. Not born, Rowan froze. What do you mean? Made? Syra touched the markings on her back. They called us the Echo-born, she said softly. Half spirit, half machine. Created to control the power of stars. The ship trembled slightly as she spoke. Rowan could feel something heavy in the air. Like her words carried real weight. He asked quietly. Who were they? She whispered, The ancients. Her eyes filled with tears again. They built worlds, then destroyed them when they feared us. They said we were too strong. Too human. Rowan listened carefully. She wasn't just talking about the past. She was remembering something that wasn't hers, something that lived inside her, like she carried the memories of an entire race. The AI beeped. Captain. Her brain activity is splitting into multiple patterns. It's like there's more than one consciousness inside her. Rowan clenched his fists. Can you fix it? Fix it? The AI replied. Captain, this isn't an illness. It's like she's a container for thousands of souls. Suddenly, Syra screamed. The lights flickered, her body glowed, and the air around them shook. Rowan grabbed her shoulders. Syra, listen to me. You're safe. Her voice came out in layers, like hundreds speaking at once. No safe, we remember, we return. Rowan held her tightly. Then remember who you are. He shouted, You're Syra. You're free now. The glow slowly faded, her breathing calmed, and finally she fell into his arms. Unconscious, but peaceful. The AI broke the silence. Captain, she just released a massive wave of unknown energy. We are being tracked again. Rowan looked out the window, far in the distance. New ships appeared, dark, sharp, and silent. Collectors again, they had found them. He laid Syra down gently on the bed, her skin still faintly glowing. She looked like a sleeping angel, but her pulse hummed like a storm. Rowan whispered, What are you, Syra? Her lips moved slightly as if answering in her sleep. Forgotten. Weapon. Locked. The word weapon echoed in Rowan's mind. Was that what she really was? A tool built to destroy planets? Or a victim of a war older than time? He didn't know, but he knew one thing. He wouldn't hand her over. Not to the collectors. Not to anyone. The AI's voice returned. Captain, the ships are charging weapons. We must leave now. Rowan grabbed the control lever. Prepare jump coordinates, he said. Somewhere far. Somewhere empty. Destination set. Dead Sector 9. No life signals detected. The ship roared to life. The stars stretched into lines and they jumped, disappearing into the darkness of space. But as they traveled through the jump tunnel, Syra's body twitched. Her eyes opened, glowing bright gold again, and in a voice that was not her own, she whispered, They will follow. They always follow. Rowan turned quickly. Syra? Her eyes blinked, now blue again. She looked confused. Where are we? He sighed in relief. Somewhere safe. But inside his heart, he knew the truth. Nowhere was safe anymore. Cliffhanger. As the ship came out of hyperspace, the stars looked wrong, twisted, and broken, and ahead of them floated something massive, an ancient ring-shaped station, half destroyed, glowing faintly in the dark. The AI whispered, Captain, I think we just found where she came from. The dead sector was cold and dark. No suns, no planets, no signals, only empty space and silence. Rowan's ship floated through the dark like a ghost. He stared at the massive ring-shaped station ahead of him. Half of it was broken. The metal bones hung in space, twisted and sharp. The other half still glowed with old lights, dim, pulsing almost like a heartbeat. Syra stood beside him, her arms wrapped around herself. She looked at the station and whispered, "I've been here." In dreams, Roan looked at her. "You're sure?" She nodded slowly. "Not me." The voices inside, Roan didn't like the sound of that. Still, he guided the ship toward the station. The closer they got, the more the ship's systems went crazy. Radar flickering, engines slowing, lights dimming, Captain, the AI warned. "Something on the station is pulling our ship." "I can't stop it. Let it," Roan said calmly. He didn't want to fight the pull, he wanted answers. The ship docked on the side of the station where gravity still worked. The airlock hissed open, revealing a long, dark hallway covered in dust and glowing alien symbols. Roan stepped out first, blaster ready. Syra followed slowly, barefoot, her eyes wide with fear and recognition. Each step she took made the floor under her light up softly, like it remembered her. They moved deeper into the station. Rooms full of broken chairs, empty control panels, and shattered glass surrounded them. The walls whispered in a strange language, one that only Syra could hear. She stopped at a large metal door. Her fingers touched the surface, and it opened without sound. Inside was a chamber glowing with blue light. In the center, a floating cube pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Roan stepped back. "What is that?" Syra walked toward it slowly. "It's part of me," she whispered. Then she reached out and touched the cube. The moment her fingers met the surface, energy exploded across the room. Images flashed, millions of stars. Cities, wars, machines. Roan fell to his knees, holding his head as voices screamed in his mind. Then, silence. The light faded and the cube turned dark. Syra stood still, glowing softly. She had absorbed the entire cube. She turned to Roan, her voice deeper. "I remember now. I was built here. Born here, left here." Roan stood up, shaking. "Why?" "They feared me," she said. "They locked me in sleep, scattered my pieces across space." Roan looked around. "Are there more like you?" She shook her head. "I was the first. The only." Suddenly, the ship's alarm rang in his earpiece. "Captain, incoming ships detected. 608. They are collector class." Roan cursed under his breath. "They followed us?" Syra looked at him with sad eyes. "They always follow. They smell power. I can't hide anymore." Roan grabbed her hand. "Then we fight." They ran back to the ship, but as they reached the exit, the lights around them began to change, red, blinking, warning. The station was waking up. Old machines opened from the walls. Defense units. Long asleep, now ready, Roan raised his blaster. "Don't shoot them," Syra said. "They're mine now." She stepped forward and whispered one word in her ancient tongue. The machines paused, then lowered their weapons. The path cleared. Back on the ship, the engines roared to life. The collector ships appeared from the dark. Black and silver, shaped like blades, Roan flew upward. Dodging blasts of energy, they were surrounded. Too many. He shouted. Syra walked calmly to the center of the ship. She knelt, touched the floor, and closed her eyes. The ship began to glow. "What are you doing?" Roan asked. "Calling," she said, "for the pieces of me." In the dark of space, something moved. Tiny lights floated toward them. Crystals. Wires. Shapes like wings. They swirled around the ship and joined with it. The ship was changing, growing, evolving. Syra's power had awakened the station. Now it was rebuilding her ship with ancient parts. One of the collector ships charged, but the new ship fired a beam of blue light. Cutting it in half, Roan watched in awe. "Syra, what are you?" She opened her eyes. "I was a slave," she said. "Now I'm becoming what they feared." The collectors kept coming. Roan flew through them, firing, dodging. Syra stood tall in the center, her body glowing brighter with each second. The ship moved like it had a mind of its own. Her mind. One by one, the collector ships were destroyed, but the last one sent a message before it died. "She is awake. Tell the Corps. Tell the Council. She has returned." Roan landed the ship outside the ring station, now empty again. Syra fell to her knees, breathing hard. "I'm not ready," she whispered. "They will come now. The real ones. The ones who built me." Roan knelt beside her. "Then we'll be ready together." Cliffhanger. Far away, across the galaxy, on a dark golden planet, a council of ancient beings sat in silence. One of them opened glowing eyes and said, "She remembers. The key has turned." The ship floated in silence again. But this silence was different, heavy, sharp, and full of fear. Sierra lay on a soft bed inside the ship, breathing slowly. She looked peaceful, but Roan knew better. Captain Roan sat beside her, his hands shaking slightly. He had just watched her destroy 8 collector ships using nothing but thought, light, and ancient power. But now she looked so small, so human. She used everything she had, the AI said softly. Energy levels are low. Vital signs are stable, but she's not just resting. She's locking herself down. Roan frowned. Why? Because she's afraid. Of herself, the AI answered. Roan leaned closer, brushing her hair back from her face. Syra, he whispered. Wake up, her eyelids fluttered, and she slowly opened her glowing eyes. She blinked, confused, then reached out and touched his face. You stayed, she whispered. You didn't run, Roan smiled a little. I don't run from people who saved my life. Syra sat up, her body weak. I lost control, she said, looking down at her hands. I hurt people. Again, no, Roan said firmly. You stopped them. You saved both of us. She looked into his eyes. But at what cost? He didn't answer. He didn't know the cost yet, but he could feel something inside her, something waiting to break free. The AI interrupted. Captain, I ran another scan. And I found something. There's a locked chamber inside her body, biological and mechanical. It's not just memory storage. It's a containment vault, Roan stood up. Containment for what? The AI paused. For a weapon. Syra closed her eyes, pain crossing her face. I didn't want you to find out, she whispered. I didn't want you to be afraid of me. Roan stepped closer. I'm not afraid of you, Syra, he said. I'm afraid of what others will do to you. She looked at him with sad eyes. My creators made me to hold something terrible. They said I was the key, only I could unlock it. They put it inside me and then forgot me, Roan asked softly. What happens if it unlocks? She looked away. Planets die. The words hit him like a punch in the chest. Not a bomb, not a ray gun. She was the weapon, or maybe worse, the key to something even bigger. Why me? She asked suddenly, her voice breaking. Why did you choose me? You could have walked away. Everyone else did. Roan didn't answer right away. He sat beside her thinking. Then he said quietly, because when I looked at you, I didn't see a weapon. I saw someone who was chained, someone who wanted to be free. And maybe, I saw myself. She blinked at him, confused. You? He nodded. I wasn't born a captain. I was sold, trained, ordered, used. Different chains, same pain. Syra's eyes filled with tears. You don't want to carry this, she said. I'm broken. I'm dangerous. Roan reached out and held her hand. You're not broken. You're scared. Big difference. Suddenly an alarm blared through the ship. Warning. Unauthorized signal detected. Life form on board attempting connection to external source. They both turned to the ship's console. A strange glowing symbol blinked on the screen. Syra gasped. That's the lock code. The code she never wanted to see again. It was from the ancients if activated. It would force open the vault inside her, whether she was ready or not. Roan ran to the control panel. Can we block it? Trying, the AI replied, but it's bypassing everything. It's calling her. Syra stood, shaky but determined. She looked at Roan. If they open the vault, I'll change. I'll become something else. No, Roan said. I won't let that happen. She smiled weakly. You can't stop it. He took a deep breath. Then let me share it. She froze. What? Split the vault. Move part of it into me, Roan said. I'm strong. I've carried pain before. I can carry yours. Syra's hands trembled. It could kill you, or save you, he said. And right now, that's all I care about. Tears ran down her cheeks. No one has ever offered to carry my burden. Roan held her tightly. You're not alone anymore. The lights around them dimmed. The vault inside her started to open, and together, they placed their hands on the control crystal. A pulse of golden light burst across the room. Pain shot through Roan's chest, but he didn't let go. Syra screamed, but her voice wasn't full of fear this time. It was full of release. The code was split. The weapon locked again, half in her, half in him. Then silence. They both collapsed to the floor, breathing hard, alive, changed, and bound forever by something deeper than fear. The air inside the ship felt different. It wasn't just silence, it was the kind of stillness that comes after something powerful. Roan stood by the window looking at the stars, but his thoughts were inside him, heavy, spinning, hard to breathe. He had done something no human had ever done. He shared part of Sira's energy, the key locked inside her. Now part of that terrible force lived inside him. His body felt warm and cold at the same time. His heart beat like thunder. The AI had said he was no longer fully human, but what did that mean? Behind him, Syra sat quietly on the edge of the bed. She looked smaller than before, like a piece of her had broken off. Her face was pale, her eyes no longer glowing. "Is it done?" she asked in a soft voice. Roan turned slowly. "Yes," he said. "We did it. We stopped the vault from opening." She looked down at her hands. "But at what cost?" Roan walked over and knelt in front of her. "I told you. I chose this." She looked into his eyes. "You shouldn't have. It's not your burden." He shook his head. "It is now, and I don't regret it." For a moment Syra wanted to cry, but she didn't. She had forgotten how. "I've always been alone," she whispered, "from the beginning. Even when I had a crew. Even when I had a home. No one wanted to touch me. No one wanted to listen." Roan reached for her hand. "I'm listening now." Syra gripped his hand tightly. "You don't understand. I'm not finished breaking. I'll hold the pieces," he replied. The lights dimmed again. The AI spoke with a worried tone. "Captain, I'm detecting another ship approaching fast. Not collector class, this one is worse." Roan stood quickly. "Worse? It's one of the ancient kind," the AI said. "Design unknown. Energy identical to Syra's." Syra froze. "No," she whispered. "They found us." Roan looked at her. "Who are they?" She stood slowly, her voice trembling. "They are the builders. The ones who made me and destroyed me. They will try to take the key back." Roan grabbed his weapon and rushed to the cockpit. The screen showed a massive black ship, smooth, round and glowing like a slow heartbeat. No weapons were visible, but everything about it screamed danger. Syra came beside him. "They won't ask. They'll just reach into me and pull the power out. No matter what it does to me." Roan stared at the ship. "Then we don't let them." Suddenly, a voice filled the room, not through the speakers, but directly into their minds. "Syra, return the key. The human is not worthy." Roan winced in pain. Syra grabbed her head, screaming, "No! I won't go back." The voice grew louder. "You are property. You are code. You are not free," Roan shouted. "Leave her alone." The ship shook violently and sparks flew from the walls. Syra collapsed, her body glowing again, but this time with fear, not power. Her eyes turned red, her voice layered with thousands of echoes. I'm not yours." Roan ran to her, grabbing her before she hit the floor. "Syra, stay with me." She looked up at him, tears in her eyes for the first time. "Roan, help me lock it again." His hands tightened around hers. "I don't know how." She placed her forehead to his and whispered, "Believe." A beam of golden light burst from both of them. The ancient ship paused, the voice stopped. The AI stuttered, "Energy rising." "Captain, her power is sinking with yours. The vault is stabilizing." But then, screaming, the builders inside the black ship activated something. A new beam shot from them, dark, cold, sharp. It hit the ship. Roan was thrown across the room, blood on his lips. Syra screamed in pain, her body shaking, breaking again. She looked down at her hands. One finger turned black. Then another. Her body was rejecting the merge. Roan crawled toward her. "No, you're not doing this alone." He reached out and touched her heart. His hand glowed and Syra felt it, warmth, safety, hope. The AI spoke again. "Captain, you're sinking again. You can't hold it for long." "I don't need long," Roan said through gritted teeth. "I just need enough." He poured everything he had into her. Memories, love, pain, willpower. And the vault inside her responded. The key inside her dimmed, then settled. Her body stopped shaking. The beam from the ancient ship ended. It backed away slowly like it had lost, the AI whispered. "They're retreating." Roan fell beside Syra, both breathing hard. Her hand found his. "You broke for me," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "No, Syra. I broke with you." The stars outside the ship looked calm again, but inside nothing was the same. Syra sat beside Roan, their fingers gently linked. They didn't speak, but they didn't need to. They had survived the builder's attack. They had locked the power again together. They had held the vault back from destroying her, and now him too. They were changed, connected. Roan still felt the energy inside him. It pulsed like a second heartbeat, not painful but not human either. He had become something else. Syra looked at him quietly. "You can't go back now," she said. "You're one of us." Roan smiled faintly. "I was never one of them." The ship flew slowly across the edge of a starless system, hiding, healing, but both knew it wouldn't last. Then the signal came, a soft pulse, a call only Syra could feel. She froze, eyes wide. "The twin!" "It's awake," Roan turned. "What twin?" She swallowed. "When they made me, they made two. One light, one dark. I was meant to protect. The other, to destroy." Roan stood slowly. "And they've activated it." She nodded. "It will come for us." Suddenly, the AI lit up. "Incoming message from across the galaxy, broadcasted on old echo channels." "Play it," Roan said. The screen blinked, a face appeared, pale, cold, sharp eyes like glass. It was another like Syra, but not. He smiled. "Hello, sister," the voice said. "Funny how they called you broken and left me behind instead." Syra gasped. "No," she whispered. "It's him." "Cairo," Roan frowned. "What does he want?" Cairo leaned forward on the screen. "Simple," he said. "The power you locked, I'll break. The humans who trusted you, I'll burn. You were built to hold light, sister. But I was built for war." The signal ended. Silence returned. Syra's hands shook. "He's stronger than me." "Roan, he's not held back by fear or memories. He only knows one thing, destruction." Roan stepped closer and lifted her chin gently. "Then we stop him." "How?" she asked. "He's everything I'm not," Roan smiled. "Exactly. You feel pain. You feel guilt. You feel love. That's your power." Syra's lips trembled. "I'm still scared." "Good," Roan said. "Fear reminds us what we want to protect." They set course for the twins' location, a shattered planet near the core of the galaxy. As they approached, they saw the remains of a city, burning, empty, dead. In the sky above it floated Cairo's ship, black and red, shaped like a serpent. Roan stared at it. "Looks like a nightmare." "It is," Syra said. "He was born from everything they feared in me." Roan looked at her with calm eyes. "Then let's make them regret fearing you." They landed and stepped into the ruins. Cairo stood there waiting. His body shimmered with power, but his face looked hollow. "Sister," he said. "You brought the human." "How touching." Syra stepped forward. "I came to end this." He laughed. "You? You couldn't even hold yourself together." Roan aimed his weapon. "She's not alone this time." Cairo raised his hand, and energy blasted forward. Roan was thrown back, but Syra stood firm, her hands glowing with light. "I'm not here to fight you," she said. "I'm here to remind you who we were." Cairo hesitated. "What?" Syra stepped closer. "We were made to protect, not destroy. You don't have to be their weapon anymore." Cairo's eyes flickered. For a moment something human returned, a memory, a whisper. But then the darkness screamed louder inside him. He shouted, "I am the end," but Syra shouted louder, "I am the beginning." Their energies clashed, light and dark, brother and sister. The ground cracked, the air burned. Roan, injured, crawled toward the vault core. He placed his hand on it, connecting his half of the key. "Syra, now," he shouted. She reached deep into herself, not into power, but into hope. The light exploded from her heart. It touched Cairo, and he screamed, but not in pain, in release. His body collapsed, fading, not destroyed. But freed, the sky cleared, the planet stopped shaking. Syra ran to Roan and fell into his arms. "It's done," she whispered. Tears in her eyes. Roan held her tight. "No, it's just beginning." Epilogue. The legend begins. News of what happened spread slowly across galaxies. They spoke of a human who stood with the worthless one. They spoke of a slave girl who held the stars inside her. They spoke of a key that chose kindness over destruction. Syra and Roan didn't return to war. They became something else, and protectors. Healers, a voice for those forgotten. No longer broken, no longer worthless, just legend,